So in One Piece, there's been a lot of race talk lately, especially in Elbaf and spoilers for Elbaf. But Gabon mentions that there have been a lot of half-breeds in the world for a very long time, such as Buccaneers and Dosundadas, right? So, keeping that in mind, I have noticed that there are a race of little animal freaks in the One Piece world that don't really get a lot of attention, and I'm not talking about minks, but there are a group of characters who look like minks but are more human than animal. And I'll list them off here. So first up, Caesar Clown. Caesar Clown has always had these weird ram horns. We don't know where they come from. And of course, they aren't a product of Law's Op fruit meddling because he had them way before Law was born, presumably. So he's a weird animal freak. Then at the very start of the story, we have Mary from the Gecko Islands, as Mary has always, too, looked like a sheep, and his horns have had no explanation up to this point, and he looks even freakier in the live action, as if they were trying to make him an actual sheep man, which is very interesting. The live action really is the smoking gun here. Next up, we have Rock and Scotch, collectively known as the Yeti Cool Brothers. They are also strange because it's clear that they are giants, which is very on brand, seeing as how we are in Elbaf right now, but they have these weird furry bodies. And I'm not sure what that's about. So I will lump them in with Caesar Clown and Mary. Following them, we have Mock Vice of the Don Quixote family. Mock Vice is also a very interesting topic of conversation because he has always had a weird beaver tail even in his childhood. So he has had this weird animal trait for the entirety of his life. And that's the only animalistic thing about him is this weird beaver tail. So that's odd. And as an honorable mention, we have Mashira and Shoju of the Saruyama Alliance with Mont Blanc Cricket. And I bring them up because they are shown off like a little bit before Jaya, and they look like apes more so than any other character. And they look so distinctly like apes that I don't think that's just a character design thing of making a guy look funny. I think that has to be some sort of racial thing that's in accordance with Caesar Clown and the others. And their Jolly Rogers also embrace this whole monkey motif or ape motif, which is kind of odd. Like that's just their brand. So what do I mean by all this? Well, I think there is going to be a race of half mink people, and we're going to collectively call them something. Maybe coat men. I don't know, because mink relates to having a fur coat. That's why they can do Electro and whatnot. But in talking about Electro, I do wonder if people of this race can use Electro, because presumably they are half mink. And speaking about using electricity, here's a blast from the past, and this person could also be in line with Caesar Clown and the others. He was from the now defunct Whitebeard Pirates, and he was actually just a subordinate. I thought he was a captain, but his name is Mick Guy. And Mick Guy, during Marineford, could actually generate lightning, and his actual epithet is Thunderlord. So I wonder, based on his ability to generate electricity, is he some sort of half mink? Maybe it's the Wario-like mustache that gives him the power to generate electricity. I'm not sure, but it's interesting that we have people like this in the One Piece world. I know he especially is a bit of a long shot, but the electricity generation was always really weird to me because nobody else but the minks in the series are able to do this. We have found no other human being able to generate electricity unless they're using a devil fruit. So with that being said, I think all of these guys collectively are probably going to be called something in relation to mink because I believe all of them are at least half mink. Even though Rock and Scotch are giants, I think this extends to them as well. And there is a possibility that Rock and Scotch could be called something else because when you're part giant, you're always called something else. Like for example, too, we recently found out that if you are a half giant and half dwarf, you are called a Zeusin Dodo. And before, when we talked about this, in which I thought all these guys were going to be called Dosundadas, we found that a Dosundada is actually a human mixed with a dwarf. So yeah, it's kind of interesting in that way, but to continue. So perhaps we will be putting them off to the side, but I do think collectively, all these people who are half mink have a possibility of being called some name collectively. Like they're known as something. Like I said, maybe Coatman, or oddly, maybe they're just called Kimono Mimi, which is just Japanese for animal ear, but it describes a lot of animal folk who have slight animal traits but aren't fully a beast. And you see this in a lot of other anime and whatnot. So maybe all of them are just Kimono Mimi, though. Again, there is a possibility that this just applies to the more human-sized characters, and Scotch and Rock will probably have their own distinct naming because they are half giants. Kind of like how wontons have their own distinct name with them being both fishman and giant. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But I do think that is something to look out for because they are such a distinct race of people that we've been seeing for quite a bit in the series, rather sporadically. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention because we've talked about it before, but it has been a long time ago. However, but with that being said, if you are enjoying the video so far, give me a like. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button, followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Wexy.